So in this video I want to talk about this very fun but cheap Ch-Ibanez Jem copy. Now there's a company on eBay called Seismic Audio that are selling these kits. Now Seismic Audio don't really seem to specialise in guitar equipment as such, they seem to specialise in electronic audio equipment, but for some reason they're selling Ch-Ibanez Jem copy kits. Now these kits are made in China. The made in China sticker gives that away, and you know they're fun. They're not bad. I mean it's the kit is supposed to be a copy of the white Vine, you know, the Jem 77WHV, you know, the main the top of the line Ch-Ibanez Jem, the one that Steve I plays most of the time. Evo, I think, is the name of his guitar. That's what it's supposed to be a copy of. So what comes with the kit, you know, the plastic hardware, the scratch plate and the spring plate at the back are sort of white perloid. You've got white dials, and that's what it's supposed to be. So you know, I presume you're going to paint it white and end up with something that looks superficially like the top of the line Jem. Now I thought that would be boring, trying to make a copy of the top of the line Jem when it obviously is nothing like as nice or as good as the real thing. What's the point? So I thought, let's have some fun and go to town with the styling and the paint. So what I thought I'd do is I sort of painted the base of the body white, just a standard acrylic white base coat you can get from any DIY store. Then I used a selection of high-vis day glow paints and just splattered them on, so we've sort of got orange, greens, sort of blue, orange and reds, and just sort of splattered that on Jackson Pollock style. And then because the plan is to give this guitar to my son, we sort of got some Marvel superhero stickers, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, that kind of stuff, stuck it on, and then what I did was I coated it with resin. So that is a really easy way of getting a very thick, durable, high gloss finish. The look's pretty cool actually. It's a bit of a pain to put on, but it's probably a lot easier than spray painting if you ask me, because whenever I try and spray paint something it always comes out looking really bad. But with the resin, you know, it comes in two parts. You've got the resin itself plus a hardener. You mix it 50-50. It's crystal clear, and you just pour it on, and it sort of, if you do one side of the body first, it kind of finds a near perfectly flat level, so you end up with something that's very smooth and flat and very thick and glossy. And what I did was I just mixed in some glitter, so you can sort of get like a metallic flake type finish, and that works really well. I mean, some of the stickers started to lift before the resin set, so they kind of got a nice little 3D features of the stickers. Sort of, some of them are standing proud of the surface of the resin, but it's yeah, it does look quite cool. The hardest part of putting the resin on is trying to get a smooth coat around the sides. That's almost impossible because you kind of pour it on the surface flat, and then you have to get like a spoon or a stick, and you sort of spread it like margarine around the edge, and it'll kind of give you a fairly reasonably smooth side. But you know, wherever the wood was a little bit rough, that sort of protrudes through the resin, and then you get the odd sticky dribble of resin that runs down the side and then goes hard. So it's difficult to get it perfect round the side. But then on the back we had some more fun again. I let my kid do this. We just sort of poured the paint on in rings and put some more sort of superhero stickers, and then poured the resin on, and then to finish it off I thought because we've done this sort of fancy graphics on the front, I thought I'd make a clear scratch plate so that you can sort of see the stickers and the paint job underneath. Now, I couldn't find a scratch plate on eBay that would actually fit, because a lot of this body is not a perfect geometric copy of a real gem. So if you buy a scratch plate for a proper Ch-Ibanez gem, it won't actually fit this. And I quickly realised that just by looking at pictures and doing a few rough measurements. So what I did was I took the scratch plate that came with it and used it as a template, and just bought a sheet of Perspex, or polycarbonate I think it is actually, from a hardware store, and just used the original scratch plate as a template, and then just took a Dremel and cut out this new clear scratch plate. Now, the cool thing with the clear scratch plate is, because this is a front routed guitar, you can sort of see all the wiring and the pots, and so that's kind of cool. So I've just taken the volume lever knob off temporarily to stick that back on. So yeah, you end up with something that is, quite unique, and a lot of fun, and the whole kit only cost about £110, so it's not a lot of money to have some fun with. And I did exactly the same thing with the headstock. So we poured on some Dayglow paints there, and then put the resin on top of that. Okay, so that's the finish. What about the actual instrument itself? Well, it's pretty good actually. Interestingly, the headstock is reversed, so maybe that's why they're selling these kits off a little bit cheaper than usual, or maybe that's why there are kits. Perhaps they plan to build, the factory planned to actually make some copies, but they, for some reason they had a bunch of reverse headstocks and realised that that wouldn't be a very convincing copy if they got the headstock the wrong way around. But that didn't bother me, because I think reverse headstocks kind of look cool in a way. The neck itself is plain sawn, as you would expect. It has a scarf joint. It seems to be fairly well done. I've checked the neck. I have a special tool that checks how level the neck is, and it is very flat. It's a pretty good job. So after a minor adjustment of the truss rod and putting the strings on and letting it settle for a while, the neck is pretty damn flat actually. The frets are good. There's only, usually with these kits you get, you know, 3 or 4 high frets and you have to do a bit of filing. With this kit, this neck is really good, with the exception of just one thread up here that I am going to have to file down, because it buzzes out up here around the 20th fret somewhere. What else? The quality of the routing and the cutaways, yeah, it could be a little bit, it's not so great around the bridge. One issue was that the hole for the mounting post was slightly back, so when you fit the bridge it was at a slight angle. So what I did was I just got a Dremel and enlarged the hole slightly, put the post in, and then used the resin to kind of lock the female receptacle for the screw-in post into a proper position so that the bridge is at least aligned. You might notice that the front pickup isn't particularly correctly aligned, but that's nothing to do with the quality of the kit. That's just my slightly ham-fisted manufacture of this scratch plate, but I can put that right. I just need to adjust the size of the mounting holes, and I can sort of angle the front pickup a little bit more squarely. The quality of the hardware, the bridge, it's not bad at all actually. It's a, you know, it's just a copy. It says licensed under Floyd Rose, which is obviously a lie, but it works. It stays pretty well in tune actually. You can give it some fairly hard abuse and it'll still stay in tune. It's nowhere near as good as the real Floyd Rose or the Edge tremolos that Ch-Ibanez make, but you know, it works fairly well. Can't complain about that. The some of the holes for the claw were drilled at the wrong angle, so the claw sits proud of the guitar body. So, not that I want to, but if you did want to put the spring cover plate on, you'd find you'd have to re-drill the holes for the claw screws so that you could actually get the cover on. The neck joint is actually pretty good. The neck sits in perfectly flush. Seems to be at exactly the right angle, so no complaints there at all. What else? So the hardware, the electric hardware that comes with it, you know, the pots and the switches, could be better. One of the pots I think has got a short in it, so it every so often the guitar cuts out and you sort of have to wiggle the pot, so I'm probably going to have to replace that, but that's just a few quid, right? I decided not to put the 5-way switch that comes with it in. I thought it'd be more fun to put in individual micro switches, so I've got one micro switch for each pickup, so I can have any combination of the pickups just by switching them in like that. Now the pickups can't, the humbuckers can't be tapped. They only come with a single output wire, come with the earth and the hot output. There's no, the coils haven't been tapped, so when I switch in the back and the middle, I'm not switching in a tapped option of the rear humbucker. It's just the full humbucker in parallel with the middle single coil. But it gives you, you know, it works. Anything else? Let's think. Yeah, okay, so the machine heads, again, they're not so great, but they work. I played it a bit without locking the trem, and it stayed in tune reasonably well, but of course, you know, the point of having a locking trem is that you lock it out, right? So on that score, the locking nut seems to work quite well. I mean, you can see it's fairly cheap. The quality of the gold plating is pretty poor, and it's slightly misaligned, but it works, it does the job, and that's pretty much it. I've got to say I am actually quite a fan of these kits. You never quite know what you're going to get until the box arrives. They usually do have numerous issues. You know, I've pointed out a few of the issues with this particular guitar, but it's rare that there's nothing you can't kind of work around or fix, you know, without just using common sense and a bit of DIY skill. You'll be able to sort most of the issues. What I would recommend though is that if you're going to get some of these kits, you can never be sure that the frets will all be flat and that the neck's flat, and so it does pay to have a fret file and a tool that tells you how straight the neck is. I've used that. I've needed to use that quite a few times in making up kits like this. So if you're going to build a kit or two, it'd be worth investing in a tool like that. But most other things you can, you know, you just need bog standard DIY tools, you know, drills, Dremels, etc. To do it. But the great thing about these kits is that you can make, you know, the limit is your imagination when it comes to the finish and what you want to do. And you're only spending about £100. Now you can walk into a guitar shop now and buy a pretty reasonable quality finished instrument for £150–200. It's quite amazing what you can get for not a lot of money, you know, especially with a lot of guitars being made in the Far East and Korea and China now. So yeah, are you getting something that's better than that? Probably not. You could probably buy a factory-made guitar with an equivalent spec hardware that's all properly made and finished for around £150–200 perhaps. But of course you don't have the fun that you do putting it together yourself. You're never going to get a finish that's as good as a factory finish, I doubt, unless you're a professional spray painter. But with a bit of imagination and using things like resin, you can get a pretty cool effect. So yeah.